CBS next Tuesday.
Our climate activists just hijacked an oil tanker truck. We should be ready for anything with these two.
The Earth is doomed!
Tuesday is FBI night.
Either we ambush or we all die.
Then I vote we ambush.
FBI Most Wanted is all new CBS next Tuesday at 10/9 Central.
First question for you is, I've talked to a lot of actors over the years, and everyone has their own path to becoming an actor. Did you know at an early age that you wanted to be an actor? Was it something that came to you later on in life?
Yeah, I was locked in pretty early. I did my first play when I was 5, and I remember really vividly actually driving home after rehearsal and being like, I don't really get it. Like, everybody gets up there and they're like saying things, but they don't mean them. And my mom started explaining to me what a play was, because I had no idea going in. And I felt something sort of like click in my brain. I was like, oh, I think I could be good at that. And I've done a couple plays a year since I was little. And I really have, I think it's been like the great love of my life. It's an amazing chance to get to observe people and think about what people want and how they get it. And it's really helped me empathize and connect with people in my community through like thinking about what they might want and how they would go after it.
What I found interesting when I was doing research about you is like you and several of your friends founded the Young Shakespeare Company, which I thought is very impressive. Can you talk a little bit about that and why all of you decided to start this company and what were your goals for the company?
Yeah, we really wanted to do theater without adults in the room, you know, and I think that Shakespeare can be so intimidating. It can be really hard to come to that, to any of the classics with a sense of ownership. And yet the stories that they tell are about young people in tough situations. And so by creating a space where, I mean, the only adults we had in the room were for stage combat. We did quite a bit of sword work in those shows and we had somebody looking on us for that. But everything else was about like, where are we in this story and how can we tell it together? We did the cuts ourselves. The directors were other high schoolers. It was really fun, sort of renegade team of classical actors.
What I thought was cool, you did plays such as, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet. How did your company put their own spin or their own mark on these historical plays?
Yeah, I mean, we kept them really young. We allowed our Hamlet, our Romeo and Juliet to be children and to be high schoolers and college students and struggle with what that is. And for me, it was such an amazing opportunity to get to really sink my teeth into these characters that no one was going to give me permission to play. And for all of us, it was such a huge confidence builder. And I think that's what we really wanted, was for it to be a young production that felt like it was made by teenagers, because those stories really had a lot to offer us.
You mentioned a campsite you worked at. What was the name of it again? Because I got it wrong.
Yeah, it's called Camp Ghostlight now. When I was there, it was called Acting Manitoba. They've changed it.
How did that experience impact you as a performer? And what was it like working with and mentoring young actors?
I love young actors so much. I mean, I came up in the same camp going there, and it is a place where you can really take art seriously. And that's not looked down on in any way. And I was so inspired by the sense of self that these young actors had. And, the high schoolers that we have right now are such an amazing group of empathetic, forward-thinking people. And it was such a privilege to get to learn from them and really grow from their confidence and seeing like, oh my God, you're 15 and you're so solid in who you are and you want this so badly. And that makes it more okay for me to want it. It was such an honor. It was such an honor. I love working with young actors.
One impressive thing that I got to watch, and I'm so glad it was online, was your short film, Adrift, which you did at the University of North Carolina School of Arts, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen Katie Sackhoff was one of my favorite actors. And she did a film called Origin Unknown, which is similar to what you did with Adrift. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about that plot of that film and the character you played?
Yeah, I played a space pilot named Four, whose mission goes astray and they end up stranded on an abandoned planet with only the company of their computer. It's a beautiful little piece about loneliness. I felt really proud to be asked to work on it.
I think what impresses me the most is normally when you're an actor, you have people to feed off of, you have people to get energy from, and that helps you with your performance. But you're basically talking to a computer the
Yeah.
entire time. How do you mentally prepare for a role like that when you're not going to be around anyone else to feed off of?
Yeah. I mean, it was high when we shot it. It was high COVID. The whole team was in masks. I was very alone on set. And I think I was really in a place of thinking a lot about loneliness and about isolation. And so I felt when I came to set very close to 4. And it was a privilege to get to deal with some of the grief that I was feeling and some of the isolation that I was feeling through that character. And that allowed me to step into it really easily.
One of your actually your very first official gig in the business is on a high-powered show like FBI Most Wanted. Can you talk about when you found out you got that gig, and was it an audition process for you? How did you end up getting that job?
Yeah, I mean, since I graduated, I've been doing a couple self-tapes a month and really trying to put myself out there. And when I got these tapes, I knew that there was something there for me. You know, it's not often that something comes across my desk that I feel like, okay, I really know that if they choose me, I can bring myself to set on day one with this character. And I found out that I got it 48 hours before I was brought in for my first fitting. So the
Oh,
turnaround
wow.
was really, really fast on this. And so there wasn't a lot of time to worry, oh gosh, am I good enough? Am I going to be able to do it? Because it was really like, okay, we're doing it. We got to get up there. And so that was what a little bit of what the audition process was like. It was very, very quick.
The episode you were in, and it aired very recently, was called White Buffalo. Can you talk a little bit about the plot of that episode and the character you played in that episode?
Yeah, I played a climate activist named Emma Culp, who during one of their planned protests, something goes wrong and we accidentally kill a guard. And we're forced to go on the run. And it's 2 people who are on opposite sides of how we can make a difference, how we can help, how can we have our voice be heard, and they're swept into the situation together. And you watch both of them deal accordingly.
For your very first role, this was a really meaty role. I mean, I'm watching this thing and I'm like, wow. When I found out this was your first gig, it's impressive what you did on screen. You should be very, very proud of what you've done.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I feel beyond lucky to have gotten to play this character.
For you, I know you've done plays and you've done some short films, but for you, what was it like stepping on a Hollywood set for the very first time?
Terrifying. So terrifying. I mean, absolutely. Hundreds of the most professional, wonderful people work on this show in particular. I think I got so lucky with being placed on this show because they knew I was green and they allowed me to be new and to try things and, you know, not to make mistakes per se, but there was forgiveness there. And I was so lucky for that because it really was the deep end of the pool. You know, this show is established. Everybody who's there is such a professional, is locked into what they do. And
Yeah.
I came on totally new and had to just make as little bit of a disruption as I could.
Yeah, those shows are well-oiled machines. The FBI's and the Chicago shows, Law and Orders, those are well-oiled machines. You just drop in, do your part.
I know. I kept having this experience of being like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. This is so new for me. And I'm looking at people who like this, they're 9 to 5.
Dylan McDermott's one of my favorite actors of all time. He's been in so many great series and films, and he's the leader of this show, obviously. Can you talk about what it was like working with him? And did you get a chance to speak to him off camera about the business or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan's very kind and introduces himself to all of the guests on set.
Oh, he does?
Yes, he's cool. Really, really pro. And I think they're under a ton of pressure, right? They put out 22 episodes of the show a season. It's a new story. They have to invest fully every week. And so they are on their game as soon as they step on set. They're pro. They're working on their scripts in between takes. They're thinking about what they can be doing well. And so you really want to like be good, show up for them because they show up for you and they take care of their side. And so it really inspires you to take care of yours.
As an actor, you identify as non-binary. Now, for my readers who don't understand exactly what that means, can you talk a little bit about what that exactly means?
Yeah, absolutely. So very basic. There's a ton of amazing resources out there for this, but very basically, gender exists both biologically and culturally on a spectrum. And on the cultural spectrum of gender, I exist somewhere in the middle. And that's where I feel comfortable and happy and the most myself. Um, yes.
I became exposed to a non-binary actor with Asia Kate Dillon. I was lucky enough to be, I think I'm the first person to interview them about their uh, gig on Billions.
Yes.
And they were the first non-binary identifying actor to be cast on a mainstream show. Do you see them as a bit of a trailblazer, and do you see yourself as a little bit of a trailblazer, maybe?
They are such a star, and they're one of the people that helped me see, like, okay, I'm coming out of a closet, and that doesn't mean that I have to give up on my dreams in any capacity. There is no limitations for me. And absolutely, in that sense, I think that they're a trailblazer. I think I'm very much part of a long lineage of trans people. You know, there's so much history, and I don't think of myself as doing anything new other than being myself, which is the first time anyone's done that. So I don't think of myself as a trailblazer. I really see myself as a student of my elders,
Sure.
and I'm so new, you know, I'm so green, and I'm young, and I have so much growing to do in that sense.
I've had the pleasure to interview Asia several times now, and they are just phenomenal. They're
Yeah,
so phenomenal.
such a star, so grounded, so powerful.
And I asked them this as well. Do you feel any responsibility or maybe a little bit of pressure as a representative of non-binary people and actors?
Yeah, yeah, it's scary. I mean, this is a scary time to be visible as a trans person, and
Yes.
I think that there are always going to be reasons to not go after your dreams, and that people are always going to tell you, like, because of the pressure or because of the risk, that you should slow yourself down. And for me, I want there to be like more successful non-binary people in every space, in every room. And if I can be one of them, then that is me doing my part for my community. And that is scary, but it's also totally, totally worth it.
As you progress in your career, has there been any advice that you've been given that you just like, oh, that sticks in your head and you just remember that every time maybe things aren't going so well, or you know what I mean? Has there been any
Yeah.
kind of advice you've been given?
Yeah, I had the honor of studying under a teacher named Josh Foldy, who's since passed away. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing man. And I used to bother him, like knock on his door of his office and be like, "Hey, what can I be doing better? Like, how can I be improving?" And I was really hungry, and he kind of stopped me with like "I think you need to chill out." And what he meant by that was like, what I needed was to open up what was already inside of me,
Hmm.
and to trust in the skills that I had and in the person that I was, and allow that to shine through on stage. And without him stopping me, you know, I was a big character performer at that
Hmm.
time. And he's the one who really slowed me down and said, "You have everything you need to be great right now." And I touch back to those moments and those conversations with him every time I feel myself starting to be like, "Oh gosh, is this going to be enough?" Like, I hear him in my head being like, "Just chill out."
Absolutely. As your career progresses in Hollywood, because as you know, Hollywood is a tough industry. Um, do you see yourself moving into maybe writing and maybe directing and producing in the near future? I know that's a lot of pressure on you right now, but in the near future, do you see yourself going down those avenues?
I have a total abundance mindset about it. You know, like, I'm not going to say no to an opportunity that comes my way. And I think to be successful right now, in many ways, you have to be a multi hyphenate, particularly as a queer performer, making your own work and deciding how you want to be shown on screen. Is a lot of the way that you can step into your power. So I'm totally open to anything that comes my way. Like, I would love to be behind a camera. I would love to be looking at things from a different side.
Just really quick, are there any actors out there now that have inspired you or that inspired you when you were starting out and you're like, oh, I see that person on screen. That's what I want to do, or that's who I want to be like?
I mean, I'm a character guy. You know, I think Willem Dafoe, Steve Buscemi, these actors who are just
phenomenal,
magic and are so fascinating on their own, and then possess this ability to transform into something totally new. And, you know, you put different lighting on Willem Dafoe, he becomes a different person entirely. Like, that's where I really want to go with my career, is like this ability to transform and step into the strange and the unknown. And, you know, creators like John Waters and other people who embraced sort of the gross and strange of the world. Like, that's really what I love and where I live.
Those are two incredible actors you mentioned, because, and you were so right. Like, sometimes if I see a series or a movie that I might be interested in, but then I see those names, I'm automatically going to watch it just because they're in it, because I know they're going to give like 100%.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you can say anything at all, but are there any other upcoming projects you can talk about, or you just want to keep things on the hush right now?
I believe I can mention that I just started photography on a beautiful, beautiful movie called Human Theories, directed by Jeff Seidman, that will be out in, you know, we're shooting through 2025. So it's a long wait, but definitely follow along if you want to keep up with things. There's hopefully much more to come.
Well, I, for one, want to thank you so much for your time. And as I told you earlier, once I saw that episode, I knew I had to get in touch with you and reach out. And so thank you. And I wish you continued success in your career.
Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate your time.